Yo, what's going on, everybody? Cigar City Sports Podcast, going with a little bit of a different setup here, a little bit of a different approach. Today, I am your host, Jack Austin, by the way. With me, as always, Mr. Ryan. How are you, buddy?
Yo.
Chilling. Nello in the studio with us.
I'm your fantasy football podcast season 1 champion.
Hold on a second. Your levels are off. All right, so today we're going with a little bit of a different mode today. We're talking college football. We're doing 2 episodes. So if you want the college, that's going to be here. You want the pro, that episode is also out today. One of them will be titled college football. The other will be titled NFL. Look for it. That's how we're going to do it. So it's been a while. College football right around the corner. We got a lot of lists out very recently. Did we not?
We did.
Yeah. A lot of predictions of where teams are going to be, a lot of top 10s, a lot of moving and shaking. Arch Manning just got dropped out of the top spot of the top recruits for college football. No surprise there.
Vanderbilt got a first place vote from somebody that they're going to win some games, I guess.
Silly. Just silly. I'm going to look at this 247sports.com that you sent me, which is the top 40 poll of college football. Let's take a look at this.
There is an interesting one on the bottom.
Why do you have to go all the way to 40? It doesn't even matter in college football.
We don't. Let's go to the top 20.
Well, I mean, there is one fan. There is a fan of the show. If you go to 31 or 32, that, yep, a little more. One more. Yep, keep going.
Appalachian State?
Florida Gators, 32.
Florida Gators, 32.
Wow.
Ole Miss, 30. If we're going on to SEC, I mean.
I think the Gators are better than Ole Miss. But
what?
We'll see.
Really?
Yeah.
First-year coach better than Lane the man?
Yeah, I do. I think Billy Napier is going to have that team on defense at least slapping people.
But first year?
Yeah, that's a big program with a lot of resources, and he's done recruiting since before he even got there.
Those kids could barely beat Sanford.
They were also under a different head coach, were they not?
True.
And none of them, they were practically revolting in the locker room. Didn't they lose AR-15? Didn't he go somewhere else?
No, it's
Anthony
Emory.
Richardson?
Emory left.
Emory Jones didn't leave.
Yeah, he did. He transferred out.
Where'd he go?
Does it matter?
I guess
AR-15 is their starter this year.
Well, that's great. That's a good sign for them. I feel even better about that statement against Ole Miss. But, dude, the Swamp is a tough place to play a football game. I say that 1,000 times. So bringing in a guy like Napier, who is able to take a smaller program and do a lot with it, and then have a lot more resources, a lot more boosters, a lot better talent at his disposal.
Better facilities, you would assume, right?
Yeah, I think there's no reason that they're not, because their facilities standalone are far and away better than Ole Miss. Come on.
Free lifetime supply of Gatorade because it's made at the university.
That's number one. It's the number one thing.
If I was the Gators, that'd be
here's
Steve Spurrier doing.
You know what's disrespectful? No. You know what's disrespectful? Iowa sitting at 20.
Yeah, with Penn State at 22. It's definitely disrespectful. What's Kurt Ferentz did besides, I guess, beat Penn State last year in a critical game, even though
aside from
Clifford
that
was out the second half and we couldn't move the ball.
I'm a little sad that Penn
I'm just telling you the truth.
Though, to be quite honest.
Well, no, because we're in the 20s now. We're in the top 20s.
Yeah,
Iowa deserves to be better, certainly over UCF. UCF does not belong at 17.
Texas at 18.
Bro? They were champions one year.
They were champions.
It's fun.
National
to pretend.
champions.
Fun to pretend.
But isn't Texas at 18 is a little low, don't you think?
No, because right. That last year was supposed to be that Texas's back year. I was ready for that, and then in any big game Texas had, they couldn't pull it out.
But I mean, they got Quentin Ewers, right? He was the number 1 quarterback last year when he went to Ohio State.
Yeah, who sat
didn't
the bench.
play. Come on, C.J. Stroud. He wouldn't start in front of C.J. Stroud.
That was that the young gun with the bleach blonde hair.
Yeah,
he went to Texas.
Yes,
he wasn't their starter last year because he was on Ohio State last year.
Yes, he was there, but
so if he's coming to Texas this year,
just be the starter. Apparently,
I feel really good about that. I mean, on tape he looks good, but that's not going to fix the whole team. Aggies at 9, circle that. Circle the Texas A&M Aggies, because Will Anderson from Alabama has already said, I don't care about anybody else. I want Texas A&M.
Wasn't there a defensive player like the corner talking about how he only had 1 tackle against them or something like that? He was chirping about Will Anderson.
It doesn't surprise me at all. talking shit. Oklahoma at 8. They're gonna be Oklahoma. They're gonna knock out who they're supposed to knock out, and then get to a tough game and lose.
Too high.
The Fighting Irish are. How are they number 7? What have they done to deserve number 7?
I guess I don't know. This guy is supposed to be the second coming of defensive genius, right?
Hey, whose poll is this?
24/7 Sports.
24/7 Sports.
I don't think they can be trusted.
6 has the Utes.
I mean, they
Utah.
are a solid team.
Michigan Wolverines. They're gonna fall. They're not.
They
gonna
are
stay
missing
there.
their best running back. Haslam went to the NFL.
Last year was their year to do something big. They beat Ohio State, but then crumbled later on. I'm interested to see Clemson here at 4. Let's see, Dabo. This is kind of not a prove-it year because he's done enough to earn their respect.
Right.
And earn whatever contract he wants. He's earned the immortality at Clemson.
This is QB DJ's chance to shine.
Yeah. Ucla.
Yeah, I can't say that name. Sorry.
It'll be very interesting to see what Clemson does if they load up on defense. This is the biggest travesty of them all. Number 3.
They've been disrespecting Georgia in a lot
The
of
Georgia
polls.
Bulldogs. The Georgia Bulldogs, if they're not number 1, your list has no credibility.
Unfortunately, I agree with Jack. Even Stetson Bennett is getting a raw deal.
Honestly, in this scenario, I'd even switch because they've got Ohio State at 2 and Bama at 1. I would switch Bama and the Bulldogs.
Absolutely. I still don't think Ohio State should be 2 either.
I don't think they should either, but Alabama does not have any right now being ahead of Georgia. They've not. Well, hold on. They lost a lot of defensive talent.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of the best defensive players.
That might be one of the things that plays in there, but first of all, I hate being ranked number 1. Whenever Bama's on the board, I hate being number 1.
But you never lose that. Even when you guys have lost national titles, the next year they always rank you number 1.
Well, that's just the system, but that's why I'm saying that Georgia, until they prove they can't do it, they deserve to stay number 1.
Plus, you guys have the number 1 quarterback in the nation in Bryce Young.
Absolutely.
Or 1 and 2 between him and Stroud, depending on how you
For
see
sure.
it.
I think it's Bryce Young. What do you think?
Your boy who won last year, crown him king.
Young?
Bennett.
Oh, Stetson Bennett? Yo, he's been getting a lot of disrespect, even in just like QB comparisons and just the SEC. He couldn't even crack the top 5. I mean, Spencer Rittler, whatever the hell his name is, the kid out of South Carolina, he hasn't won anything, and he was ranked in the top 5 in some of these rankings, which is absurd.
I mean, he may not have the stats like the other guys.
Stetson Bennett is not the top
won.
quarterback in the league.
But not top 5 in the SEC?
Oh, I don't.
He can't even crack the top 5?
I don't think he's got the arm talent for that.
What? He threw all over you guys last year in the national championship game.
I don't know. To me, if you win and you win that title, you're the top dog.
I'm not saying he should be above Bryce Young in any way, but top 5 at least. He's got to crack that list. He's better than the kid out of Kentucky in Levi, the kid who drinks mayonnaise and coffee or whatever the hell he does.
First of all, Stetson Bennett deserves all the credit for being a great quarterback. He did a great job. I don't know if he threw all over us, but he damn sure did absolutely everything he needed to behind a stout Georgia defense and a stout running attack.
It wasn't injured Alabama,
dominate.
to be fair.
No. I say the same thing when people come talk about how we beat them. I don't want to hear about injuries. If you win, you win.
Next man
That's
up.
everything. Next man up. You can't place any one football game on one man's shoulders unless it's, say, your quarterback.
So what are we thinking about the SEC? Is it still going to be the same 2 dogs, Georgia and the Elephant and Bama, going like head-to-head at the end of the year for that championship? This is one of those way too early predictions.
That's not I don't think, a way too early prediction. I think both of those squads have proven that they are the best in the East and the West right now.
Is there any chance a Tennessee, a Kentucky, some like dark horse Texas A&M takes the crown from them?
My dark horse in the SEC to contend, I want to pick Tennessee because I think they are on the up and up. I just don't think they're there yet. Yours is LSU?
Oh, go. Disgusting, man.
No way.
Brian Kelly's first year
I
with
don't.
all those violations.
So it's kind of a 3-way tie for me here. It's Arkansas, who has steadily improved the last 3 years.
What Arkansas does is just be mediocre, and
but they've beaten some teams that they weren't supposed to.
And their Jefferson is still coming back next year.
Jefferson's coming back, and that coach is the difference for them.
Yeah, he's really good. He's turned that organization. He's turned that football program around. I just said organization.
Yeah, and then I'm going to put Jimbo and Texas A&M right there.
Okay.
They are knocking at the door of being a good team. If somebody was to have a stellar year, which they could still be in that conversation at the end of the year. But Arkansas is my number one.
So 1 and 2, Arkansas, and, Texas
and then A&M and Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah. I like A&M just because Jimbo. Jimbo can get things done.
I like Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I just don't know who's going to play quarterback now that Carroll's gone.
Are his feelings going to recover, though?
Who?
Jimbo's.
I don't know.
Jimbo will be fine. He's got a lot of zeros behind his check.
He
don't
does.
give a damn.
Not as many as
Nikki?
Kirby Smart
Oh my
or
gosh.
Nick Saban.
I'm actually curious to see how Kirby Smart is able to replace 15 draft picks and still keep that team elite like that in the SEC. That's my number one goal. He lost 2 of his stud defensive linemen, 3 if you count Wyatt too.
So here's my comment to that. You know those years where Bama would unload in the draft, and then we'd be like, we have no idea how that defense is coming back? That was Kirby Smart. So every year, it's not just about talent. Talent is a big deal, especially in the SEC. But Kirby Smart has a way of coaching his guys and getting them ready to compete no matter what. Because let's face it, if you're going to Georgia, you got talent.
Yep.
Well, agreed.
There's a lot of things to compete about.
They've been the number 2 school in the
Especially
SEC.
in the SEC period, or any of these top D1 schools. Name any of them. If you're playing at Ohio State, Texas, Oklahoma, whatever, you're not a bum. So,
Some people are.
oh boy,
Texas more recently, but like there have been. It was after that Vince Young national championship. Texas kind of bummed out.
I think Texas partied too hard.
That's also true. That was a great game.
It really
run
was
by Vince Young.
Very
Jeez.
iconic run. He beat Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart, which was huge. Mike Williams, was it Mike Williams on their team? Who was their big wideout?
I think it was
that
Mike
year?
Williams.
It was Mike Williams, but I think it was a different Mike Williams.
There's been 2 like. Didn't the Cowboys
me.
draft 2 Mike Williams?
No, they drafted a Roy. No, Roy Williams was the Lions.
Okay.
Anyway, so going into this year, when does the season start?
So
Let's
yeah,
get there.
I think Ole Miss. I think everyone's sleeping on Ole Miss. If they can get their quarterback situation in order, Lane, I'm grabbing popcorn for you. It's time to put up or shut up.
I don't disagree, and that probably me just dismissing Ole Miss is just because of my absolute disdain for Lane Kiffin.
So who do you think is the hottest seat in the SEC coach wise? Like whose
boy.
chair is like if you don't get at least to a bowl game, it's on fire.
By the way, end of this month, August 27th, that's when everything kicks off. That's when we're going. Let me think about that. SEC.
It has to be
hot
Auburn,
seat.
right? Auburn has to be the hottest seat there.
They're doing all right. It's starting to get better.
Well, they also just took. I was talking about this with you the other day in the chat. The quarterback from Texas A&M that was responsible for beating Alabama, who was a beast, who had
Crizzola or
an
whatever?
excellent arm. That kid is now playing in Auburn, so that worries me. Although Auburn's backup was already really, really good. Hot seats, though, it's tough.
It has
It's
be
tough
the
to
guy
say
from
that.
Auburn. Because, I mean, Vandy, you're not really expected to do much.
Didn't
but
they
show
just
up.
change their coaching situation?
Right, but that guy's been mired with just controversies and just crap.
No, I think it's Mike Leach.
You think Mike Leach is on the hot seat at Michigan State? I mean, Mississippi State shit. My bad.
Yeah, I do.
With
'Cause
that
I think
spread
Mississippi
offense,
wants to compete really bad, and Mike Leach was supposed to be the splash pick to get them going. And you really didn't get anything. Kentucky, anytime they have a winning record, Kentucky freaks out like they're going to be elite the next year.
Stoops. I don't think Stoops is doing a good job at Kentucky.
He's not
around-
going anywhere.
He's turning around an organization like that.
Kentucky better stick to basketball.
What about South
I
Carolina?
don't disagree.
If the Spencer Rattler, whatever his name is, experiment doesn't work, what do you do there?
I realize I'm South Carolina. I realize I'm South Carolina.
it's South Carolina.
And I'm thinking about another division.
So
Same
you-
with Kentucky. I mean, there's a lot of these teams that just they're never going to crack that ceiling. They're going to get
too hard.
so like you think of the Gamecocks, you know, like they get that moment where they get Jadeveon Clowney or they get who was that stellar running back they had, Lattimore.
He was
Remember
injured.
him?
That guy was a stud. He just couldn't stay healthy.
I know, but they have years where they get guys like that and they explode and they have really memorable moments, like that one tackle against Michigan for Clowney, and then
versus Denard
they fall
Robinson.
off. Then nothing happens.
Where his helmet popped off.
Yeah, that was the running back though. That was Mike Hart, not Denard Robinson.
Are you sure? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll go for it, but I'm pretty sure it was Robinson carrying the ball out of the backfield.
So what do you think? Who do you think has the hot seat?
In the SEC. Maybe Mizzou.
Tennessee's fine. Tennessee is not going to.
Josh Heupel made them relevant again. You can't really fire him.
Yeah.
I still think it's either Auburn or Mizzou, because Mizzou, they really want to just get relevant, and they just can't seem to crack something about Mizzou. They're always like, oh, they're still good, they're decent, they're halfway there, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's one of those things where I feel like a lot of the teams in the SEC are just those guys just come in, keep their head down, and
it was not Mike. It was not Mike Hart. It was not Denard Robinson. It was a guy named Smith, Vincent Smith. He was a running back for Michigan. Anyway, sorry.
Like, don't want anybody look in their direction. Like, dude, we're just here so we don't get fined. Almost like we're just playing the play.
And then like
we do good, okay. If we don't, you still got a job.
What happens when Oklahoma joins the SEC?
Then they're going to
Texas.
start. Like I said, I think LSU is going to be the school that suffers from that.
Don't talk like that. He's got purple and gold all over his heart, he said. That's not nice for him or Brian Kelly.
Well, think about it like this. Oklahoma and Texas are already getting a lot of the recruits from Oklahoma and Texas.
True.
Those are big marquee schools, and they are going to still have their recruits. Then they're going to get some of these kids from the South that want to put Oklahoma and Texas back in that championship conversation, and some of those kids come from Louisiana.
First of all, man, kids these days, a lot of them don't seem to even know what the hell's going on. I can doubt they care about that much history.
They're more about their TikToks and their NIL deals.
Who's going to let me TikTok, bro? I'll go play for you.
So I'm looking at this top 100 list trying to see who's last. So far, it's Arkansas at 36, which is a little disrespectful.
No,
but Minnesota at 38, so disrespectful too, but we'll see. Fresno State did better than that. Wow, Fresno State 40, Appalachian State ahead of them? That's a little dirty.
Good for the Mountaineers, baby. Who's Minnesota, that running back I was in love with last year?
Abdullah or whatever?
Yeah.
Florida
So the
State's
Big Ten, do you think the Big Ten
sitting at like 96?
Do you think the Big Ten is won by Michigan again, or is Ohio State going to put the boots to Michigan in that game? Because those are the two clear-cut favorites, right? Assuming Michigan State doesn't repeat the Cinderella season they had last year.
Muhammad Ibrahim.
Sorry.
This dude almost put up, 200 against Oklahoma or Ohio State?
And they should have won
Crushing
if it
them.
wasn't for those crap penalties in
Well,
that
him
game.
getting a season-ending injury in that game. If he runs like that all year and stays healthy, you're looking at him as the number one running back.
Bro, you've been ranting and raving about him since that game, dog.
He's so good.
He is good.
I can't wait to see him come back and put Minnesota. I got to cheer for some Gophers. That's my Big Ten team right now, the Gophers.
Because of the Redskins?
Just because of the Gophers.
Because of the Commanders?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just because of the Gophers, baby.
I'm sorry.
Groundhogs.
You guys are confusing me because it's all the Ronald McDonald House in Washington. So what do you think about the Big Ten? Do you think Michigan, Jim Harbaugh gets it right again? Or do you think Ohio State puts the boots to everybody?
No, yeah, Ohio State puts the boots to all of them. And then
Even
you've
Penn
got
State?
a couple of outliers. Definitely Penn State.
Wow,
You got a couple of
especially
outliers
Penn State.
in a long shot Golden Gophers if that running back is healthy and they have that kind of environment. But this time if they play, they're playing in the shoe. So sorry.
That's true.
Sorry about your luck. It is not going to be as easy to have that game against them in their house.
I hate to be anybody playing Ohio State those first couple of weeks because I think they're going to come out just gangbangers, just wanting to hurt people. Not hurt people.
Now, they just lost their two best targets.
I was going to say, they just lost
receivers.
Olave and what's his nuts.
But those guys are like factories. You take one cog out, you replace it with another. It's pretty much cut and dry.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like Alabama, I mean, they really don't miss a beat when it comes to recruiting.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Ohio State is always in that conversation.
And another thing about the Big Ten, how the hell does it make sense? Two teams out of California joining an Eastern Coast conference. Where? I understand the Big Ten plays in the Rose Bowl every year, but that's it.
Yeah.
We're like, well, why? It just doesn't make sense. Why they would leave the Pac or the Big 12 to go to the East Coast.
I don't know why they would do that anyway. And what were the two teams again?
UCLA and USC.
Yeah, they're going to get stomped.
Go to November in Happy Valley where that wind chill is minus 17.
I mean, I don't understand why UCLA, I'm like, okay, you might have a shot.
I mean, even then, it just doesn't make any sense. There's no, what besides the Big Ten opening, like the West Coast recruiting doors open, what is it really doing?
It's more so, too, to make them somewhat relevant.
Yeah, it's relevant. It's more for USC and UCLA than it is for the Big Ten.
Yeah, but wouldn't it make sense to be in the Big 12 where you're in the Midwest and not the complete opposite side of the country?
Well, who's really relevant in the Big 12?
Nobody, and that's why they didn't want to go there. They wanted to go there because they know they'd get that Big Ten TV contract.
That's exactly why they moved to the SEC. That's why we tried to move to the SEC.
Yeah,
especially when there was a big deal with strength of schedule. Now that's not too harping on anything, but I mean, when was the last time USC anybody even looked at them?
Do you think Florida State has a shot in the ACC, or is it Clemson's to lose?
I don't know. Depends on how we end up playing.
That's the same for every single team in college football.
Well, thank you, Captain Obvious, for that great analysis. But like,
no, I mean,
as a fan, what do you think?
What I'm saying is, if we beat we've been losing games that we shouldn't have lost to at all.
I know. Ask Jacksonville State all about
exactly. What I'm saying is, if we start beating those and then winning some tough games, absolutely.
I mean,
Clemson.
You guys, I think you're going to get that cornerback that left to go play with Deion.
Yeah, next year.
He'll leave and come back to Florida State. I don't know why he wanted. How about that clip though of Deion screaming at his players? I catch you on the phone, you don't play.
You know what, Deion is?
I'm wholeheartedly about that.
Deion is like putting a trial video together to go to FSU once Norwell gets fired, and that would be a great hire for FSU. Revitalize and revamp that football program.
Saying that,
I'm telling you, people want to go play for Deion.
I think that's ill-advised, but you're right.
There might be a corner or two who may.
I mean, come on, they hired Willie Taggart, for fuck's sakes.
Bro, let me tell you, because our pockets were hurting. Like, who's willing to work for much of nothing?
Do you think Miami has a shot at the ACC? Is there any dark horse in the ACC that has a chance? Is Notre Dame part of the ACC? I don't even know.
I think the Canes definitely have a shot to win the ACC. It's them. Sorry, buddy. It's them and Clemson right now. Those are the two top-tier teams in the ACC.
Are you sad that the turnover chain has been abolished?
Yeah, actually, I am. Because I thought those guys really rallied around that, and I thought that was a fun bit of college football. That was one of those things they had that the pros didn't, although the pros immediately started mimicking that. But the thing about that is I think it took some of those players out of their fundamentals. They wanted to get on TV for turnovers, so they started trying to jump plays and make stupid plays just to get the chain.
And they were getting burned.
So the coaches were like, "Listen, man, enough with the chain. I don't need you getting that hooting and hollering on the TV. I want you to worry about your fundamentals, worry about making the play."
Somebody obviously didn't watch Miami play back in the 80s and 90s.
Just saying, man.
Cristobal is trying to change the culture in Miami.
I don't disagree, and I think he's doing a good job. They weren't going to turn around and be national champions. They're where they need to be right now.
Does USC and Mike, what is his name? Mike Riley? Is that who went there? What the heck is his name? Lincoln Riley. Do they win the Pac-12 or is it Oregon's to lose?
Can they get past Stanford and UCLA? Can they get past Oregon State and Oregon?
Screw Chip Kelly.
I'm just saying, man. USC right now is not a threat to anybody in my eyes. I look at the Bruins as a better team than them right now.
What? UCLA, really?
Yeah.
Wow. You have too much faith in Chip Kelly. Just wait for him to mess this up.
It's not Chip Kelly. It's the atmosphere he's created there in UCLA.
I think it's Oregon's to lose on that aspect. But if you look at the NIL deals and all the free agency or what is it called? What's the transfer portal stuff that USC has done, bringing in Caleb Williams, familiarity with the head coach and everything, I could definitely see something interesting happening there.
I just think Lincoln Riley's a total puss for doing that.
Well, he said he wasn't dodging the SEC.
Okay.
That's what he said. He said, I wasn't dodging the SEC.
You were in one of the top programs in the country, arguably bigger than USC. True. Oklahoma football is bigger in Oklahoma and to college football than USC is to Southern California. Sure, they love their USC football, but Oklahoma is a little different.
Agreed. It's like a more prestigious overall.
In terms of college football, absolutely.
And the talent pool you can get anybody up and down the Midwest, from Texas all the way up
to California.
Exactly.
You can get anybody all over the country at Oklahoma. Not that you can't at USC, but you're on one side of the country. So for him to say, all right, my team is joining the SEC. I don't like the way things are going. I can't beat people I need to beat. I'm going to leave and leave my guys and go to USC. He says he's not dodging the SEC. Okay, so unless the money was all you cared about, which, hey, I'm not dogging that.
No.
Respect, man. If that was what you wanted to take care of your family, that's fine. But don't tell me you're not out here dodging the SEC, because Oklahoma would have paid you whatever you wanted if you won.
That's the only reason I leave.
The money?
Cream. Casuals, everything around me.
Ryan's about to go leave and coach the Jaguars twice a year against Tennessee for the right amount of money.
For the right amount of money, I'll do it.
He'll burn all that Titans gear he has. He does not even care.
Would you would coach for the Jags or the Colts? Just
Colts?
Take
Absolutely.
your allegiances, throw them away.
Yeah, my allegiances are nice, but they don't pay my fucking bills.
If Jerry Jones offered me a job, any job, even as a commentator, I wouldn't take it. Maybe I'd take it for one day.
You are such a liar.
I would take it for one day, and then I would just say just the most outlandish crap
you
about
are
the Cowboys.
Such an overwhelming liar.
Okay, maybe you're right. It depends how many zeros.
Sherry calls me tomorrow. I'm walking in there to my wife and be like, babe, I hope you like Texas.
Yep.
We're out the door.
Working for the Cowboys now.
That's right. Oh, boy.
What about the Big 12?
What about the Big 12?
Is Sarkisian, now that he's got his guy, he got his quarterback, he technically got both of his quarterbacks. Because Archie Manning, in 2 years, right? 3 years if he redshirts.
No, well, yeah. That will all depend on this kid.
Right.
And that means we could get maybe only 1 or 2 years of Arch, maybe even 1.
And you got Quentin Ewers, whatever the hell his name is. He transferred out to go. I mean, is this Texas year?
Watching that kid's film and watching Arch's film side by side, Ewers is far and away the better quarterback.
Yeah. Manning's only there because of his name.
Last name is Manning.
If his last name was Smith, maybe we wouldn't even look at that.
There was a pro scout, not a pro scout, a highly touted former college scout that said he would be only a 3-star and not a blue chip 5-star.
If his name isn't Manning.
Yeah, if his last name isn't Manning, that's it.
Are we sleeping on Oklahoma State and Baylor for the Big 12? Not that it matters because it's considered an inferior conference anyways.
They are considered an inferior conference, but never count out Baylor.
That defense can fly.
Yeah. And on a good day, they'll throw 70 up on you.
Yeah.
I mean, they really will. They have the tall, lanky receivers. They have guys that can make plays. I would never count Baylor out as an easy win.
You know who else we can't count out is Boise State out of the Mountain West. Now I understand that the Mountain West Conference is one of the best conferences in football. But
he's trying to position his hand. That's me.
You bring up Boise State, verbal timeout.
I gotta agree with that. Anytime you're starting to talk relevancy with the Mountain West, we know you're just saying that's why you're muted.
The best thing about Boise State is their field. It's cool. It's blue.
It is cool. It's blue, but that's all it is.
That's it.
It's not hard to win there. The biggest thing that ever happened was you had a defensive end get smacked in the mouth by LeGarrette Blount on your field.
Whoa, the Statue of Liberty against Oklahoma.
Let's say the Statue of Liberty play, I'll give you that one too.
Did that happen at Boise State? No.
It happened in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl.
It didn't happen at the Boise State field, which is what I'm talking about.
There is a red field. Is it Western Kentucky? One of those teams has a red and black theme field, that's so sexy.
No, it's dumb. It's really stupid.
So we went over the major
conferences. You want to come play football here? Look, our field's red. Ain't that something?
Coastal Carolina.
Doesn't
it feel like
teal.
Or something like that?
Hey, feller, don't you want to come out here and play on this here red field?
You know, if Coastal Carolina wants Cigar City Sports Podcast to come up there for a weekend and check out that teal field.
Sure, yeah.
We're down. What? You wouldn't go?
Yeah. Can't wait to go see them.
Fly us up there because we still don't even know where the hell there is. Let us know.
All right, let's take our first break of the day. Then we're going to get back into a bit of an interesting conversation.
I like it.
Yeah. We're going to talk about how they're trying to unionize up there in the Big Ten. We'll see you in a minute. All right, and we're back. Wait, I forgot something. All right, so we're back.
It sounds like you just ran on a treadmill before we got here.
Let's do it.
Run on a treadmill?
You wish.
Sounds like a bad time.
Sounds like a bad time for El Hombre here.
Wow. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about this story, which you've had all the details on. So let's hear it.
So from what I read about that article on CBS Sports that I sent into our little like pre-production group chat meeting or whatever, apparently there was some secret meeting at Happy Valley with Sean Clifford and some sort of lawyer or somebody, and they were talking about making a union for the Big Ten and unionizing a players association. Now, what I don't understand is why did they have to do it to where the coaching staff wasn't there to listen? And apparently in the article, it states that the only reason why the teams and the coaching staff found out is because the strength and conditioning coach just happened to mosey on in and leaked the meeting. He was there for the last couple minutes, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it was. Are we destroying the beauty of college football when money gets involved, not just on an NIL aspect, but revenue sharing, unionizations, whatever you want to call it? Or are we just too antiquated? Jesus Christ, Nello.
So I'm going to get my guy a dictionary.
You know, yeah. Are we too holding on to the past?
I mean,
if you ask me, as you know me, I'm all about people getting paid, making their money. College football has been pimping kids for God knows how long. Now it's their turn to say, nah, I ain't walking that track no more. I'm all for it.
But you're opening a can of worms that you don't need for college football. Are you going to start watering the game down? Are you going to take these schools like Louisville and maybe a Wake Forest and an NC State and completely get rid of them? Because if you start unionizing, not all schools are going to be able to do that, A. And B, then you're really doing what we were talking about even earlier in a couple podcasts or a couple months ago on here, where you just take the top 40 universities, make one league, call the rest whatever you want. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're losing those small grassroots rivalries.
How are they losing? Because they form a union. All a union does is protect its employees.
well, it's so funny that you bring that up, because if these students want a union, that means they get rights. And that's great. That means they are going to have to start doing a few things. One of them is allow the NCAA a seat at that table to start making their own rules and say, okay, you want to get paid, you want to have
revenue
this,
sharing.
you want to essentially be revenue sharers, you want to get all that kind of stuff. That's great. First of all, we're not going to pay for your education anymore. We're not going to pay for your housing, not going to pay for any of that. And that's okay, because you want to get paid, so you'll get paid so you can take care of your education. You can take care of where you want to be.
Housing,
and they'll also,
food, everything.
yeah, and that way when the kids say, you know, we don't want to do this, we don't want to, I mean, I don't know, what do you want to say? No, less contact. What are we taking away from them? Then they say, okay, you want to eat at the facility, then you're going to have to start paying for it. I mean, you're giving somebody else a seat at the table. And what I think is going to happen is if the Big Ten comes out and says, we're going to unionize, the NCAA will say, okay, bye. You're not going to play in our league then.
A high risk of that happening.
You're going to go do your own thing, because we have all these other teams over here that will continue to do that.
And do the conferences want a revenue share with these teams? And then how do you determine, like, okay, I'm Vanderbilt in the SEC. How do you determine how much money I get from that revenue?
Sure.
When not nobody, that's not true, but like a 1% of the SEC is watching my games on a week in, week out basis. Do you understand? It just opens a can of worms that's not necessary.
I think.
I also think y'all are looking into the union way more than it is. It's not. I don't
That's
think
exactly
it's,
what it is.
No, I mean most of the time
It's a governing body for the players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the Players Association and the pros. And guess what? The NFL gets a big say in that too.
Well,
sure, they get represented and they get stuff like that, but at the other end of that stick, the NFL gets a seat at the table. So sure, the NCAA's lawyers will have a seat at this union, and these players are going to be represented by people who are trying to prey on them.
Does this person that was at Penn State?
Yeah, it's the same devil in a new shirt. You're absolutely right.
What'd you say?
So nothing's changing. And I don't think the NCAA can just be like, oh, you have to pay for this. They're not going to get rid of free rides because that's how you get all your talent there. If you're telling me that I got to go pay to go to your school now to try to make money for you, why? I'll just wait. Wait till I'm ineligible and go to the NFL.
Because you need that platform to develop.
You need that level of competition in the
What is he going to do for 3 years? Sit on the bench? They're not going to go from high school to the XFL. It's just not going to happen.
Train and then show up at a combine.
Yeah, but see, that you're missing a key part. I see what you're saying. This is a very Ryan answer, but you're also missing those guys who aren't going to do that and are going to show up. They're going to have game tape and live footage. You're going to be running against your friends or other guys that are holding out that aren't real competition, aren't real hits, and they're not going to get real contracts. They're going to go the way of the white buffalo. They're going to freaking just be done.
There's situational things that you can do as many X's and O's on a chalkboard, on a practice field as you want. But when it comes down to like bang, bang plays, you need that in life experience.
You don't think so? But the guys at the next level that are going to be writing those millions and millions of dollar checks, they do.
100%.
Depending to a fault, yes. Depending on your position,
you got to get punched in the mouth, like you say.
There's certain positions, though.
Name me a position that you don't have to show game tape.
I mean, quarterback, you need to show that you can multiple read, you can throw under duress, you're willing to take the big shot to make the play.
Jadeveon Clowney, he wasn't a super stud.
What are you talking about?
You know what got him signed? Running a 4.40.
Whoa.
Period.
That's inaccurate.
That's not true.
Jadeveon Clowney also
had highlight reel plays
in college. He was the number one high school player overall. He was the number one college prospect overall, and he had 3 years of game tape. So we can't say that he was just some bum off the street. He definitely put the work in.
Dominating SEC tackles that were getting drafted in the pros year in and year out.
What solidified that on draft day? There's a man running a 4.4.
Right, but that was icing on the cake.
Exactly.
You're ignoring the rest of the work.
DK Metcalf, same thing. You run fast enough, they'll pick you up.
DK also had game tape.
Yeah.
DK had game tape with lesser quarterbacks. That's why they were in shock and awe. They were awed at just a physical specimen of him running down the sideline.
It was his ability to work too. It was not just him being fast. Yeah, he's huge. He's fast. He has a great catch radius that they saw on game tape.
Against opponents who are trying to stop him.
Nobody's going to say it unless you're watching solid game tape, 11 on 11 situations. No pro GM or owner is going to say, you know what, sign that guy to a rookie deal worth 9 digits or 10 digits.
Give him $10 million his first year as a signing bonus because you know what? I saw his workout tape for 3 years and he looks like he can run a fast 40.
Right. I don't think that's going to be the thing.
Hell, even Hayward Bay, when he got drafted in the first round by the Raiders, he still had game film of blowing people on the sidelines on those deep routes. You gotta have experience. But what concerns me, back to the question, what concerns me about this Penn State thing is they did it in secret, which means that whatever they were talking about, whatever they were doing, is not good for the conferences or something. The conferences.
I don't know about all
that. Not necessarily that. If you have ever worked for a company, I used to work for one, and we were actually talking about potentially grabbing a union because they treated us like shit. You're worried about, not necessarily worried, but you got what is it? I'm trying to think of the fucking words. I'm pulling a Nello. You're thinking about the fallout, like in case they find out that you're trying to unionize.
Yeah.
because they don't like that because
they'll fire you.
They'll fire you.
They'll fire you and call it a day.
Exactly. So
just like what happened to the Big Ten,
and not get in trouble for it. And also make sure you have all your ducks in a row before you do that, because if I'm starting it here, then we go to over here and over here and over here. You don't want it leaking.
Are we losing the essence of college football for what it is?
We already did when NILs and no penalty for transferring was gone. We lost it there.
I don't know. I completely disagree. I feel like it's just now finally starting to balance out and get somewhat even. But
what's even about it?
Yeah, I'm curious as to what you mean by what you just
they're
said.
finally starting to get fucking paid.
Well, they're getting paid, sure, but what's even about it? They're still getting pimped. 100% still getting pimped. These recruiting trips are still happening. People are still getting paid. So now they're not the pimps, they're the whores. I mean, well, no, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, they've already been the whores.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
So they still are. So, I mean, now they're just getting an opportunity to get paid, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm happy for them.
I guess if they unionize and they do like insurances and injury settlements, and
I think that's another big part of it.
That would be okay to me. But once you start talking revenue sharing, jersey sales sharing, so on and so forth, that's when you monetize the game over just the purity of going out there and playing football as a football
So wait a minute.
player.
When they injure themselves, listen. When they injure themselves, they don't lose their scholarship, right? I mean,
yes, they do.
No,
depends.
Yes, they do when they can. I know kids that went to play in like Indiana, and they will take a scholarship and look at you sideways.
It depends the university, what program, what sport,
how you're representing the university.
Yeah, how much money that certain sport has. I know that for football, if you're like a top guy and you're in a top university and you get an injury like that, they usually keep good on those 4 years. But if it's a life-altering injury, they're not good on it anymore. So I understand.
And even to the point,
the healthcare aspect. I'm just talking about the monetization of revenue sharing and jersey sales and TV rights and all that crap.
Why not?
I don't think it's necessarily jersey sales. They should be able to sign their stuff is what they want to do. They want to sign their stuff and all that. They're not going to start. Well, some of them probably will start printing jerseys, but then you have to give part of that back to the university.
Why shouldn't they get jersey sales?
Hey, I'm not arguing with you. I'm
a lot of universities don't, like a lot of college jerseys don't usually come with names.
Not to mention, yeah, right. So that's it. That's it. Unless they slap someone's name on the back of it, they're not selling your jersey. They're selling 5 different guys' jerseys.
Like they'll sell a number 2.
I'm
not arguing that.
That's a custom though. That's a custom job. You pay per letter you add to the jersey.
Sure.
You added it. So your name could be John and you want a Julio Jones jersey. You go put Jones. That's on you.
No, he's right though. Like Alabama does sell player specific, but the caveat for that is it's after they've left the university.
Yeah, and see what I'm saying is that's another way of them doing that without having to pay that person with that.
Well, no, when they're gone, they do have to pay them because now they're using their likeness.
Yeah, because they're using their likeness. But I'm saying as they're in college, you all know, was it
Arian Foster?
Like 28 used to be freaking your boy Adrian Peterson from Oklahoma.
Okay. So if his name's not on there, he could be any 28 that's been in the program forever.
You know what I mean? Like how many Tim Tebow jerseys have sold over the freaking years?
But those letters were added by people as customs.
That's
the loophole. That's the loophole for that.
Right. That's what I'm saying is you know who it is.
Yeah.
And who it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Why you grab that number? You didn't grab that number. What was Julio wearing? An 8?
Julio wore number 8, and so did John Mechie. Actually, that's who I was about to bring up to you. And Christian Harris, he's also number 8. So when they sell a number 8 with no name on it, the university gets that. When they sell
that's what I'm saying.
When they sell the 8 with the Jones on it, Julio gets it.
That's my point that I'm making is that I'm trying to make is that they sell it with the 8 with no name on it. You know who that is.
But you don't get that split.
But
it doesn't belong to him. He doesn't own number 8
because they're not putting his name on the back of the jersey then while he's still playing, so he's not making.
Yeah, but college football changes players every 3 to 4 years.
I get that.
They wouldn't have enough numbers.
Okay, so when you go to buy, why don't they put their name on the jersey when they sell it as they're in college?
Because in 3 years they're gone.
No,
right. No, that's true because in 3 years they're leaving. No,
it's because they would have to pay them.
It's not just that.
Let's just say that's not true, right? Every 3 we'd have like 5-digit numbers by now. If you take into effect when college football began, we'd be in like 227.
That's the most ridiculous thing in the world.
What?
You're losing me here because honestly,
in the NFL, they don't change numbers every few years.
They do,
People
but
don't have different numbers, but they still keep selling the jerseys of that particular player over and over.
How are we not getting this? In the NFL, every player's name is on the back.
Yes.
So their jerseys are unique to them.
I mean, that's one. Remember, Dalvin Cook tried to change last year, and they told him that he needed to buy every single
jersey.
Right.
Exactly.
But here's what I'm saying. At the college ranks, I play in 2000. Yes. I'm number 17. I ball out. I'm crazy good. You come in next year, you're number 17. After I leave, who gets the money with a 17 and no name? I earned it. I got my Heisman. I got my national championship. Sure, you're great, but why do you get my money?
No, I'm not getting your money. You're skipping the whole point of what
No,
I'm saying.
no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because I'm saying the 17 with no name goes to the university because that 17 is property of the university. They're the ones who sell it. They're the ones who are proprieting it. Sure, you're wearing it. And then when you leave and you're in the pros and they slap Glover on the back of that 17, every time they sell one of those, you'll get paid.
And then the year after, when you leave,
your name's on the back of that jersey when you're playing, right?
Right.
As you're running around.
Right.
But when it's sold, your name's not on that 17.
Correct.
Why? Because they would have to pay. And that's
no, I disagree with you because I wanted to buy a 22.
Okay.
And I bought it because for Mark Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
And the year that I bought it, Ingram wasn't playing for Bama. So I wanted the 22 because somebody else had it.
You could have gotten a jersey made specifically for that.
I could have, and then he would have probably gotten paid for it.
But see, that's what I'm just saying is I forget, what is it, Notre Dame, like the only school that doesn't have their names on the back of it or whatever?
Not anymore. They do now.
Or they do now. But back in the day, because of that whole, we want to be a team thing, no individual.
Yeah.
That's kind of my point, though, is like, that's what I'm trying to get to, is like, I get what you're saying.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that up until that point, they could easily put their names on the back of every jersey and have them ship out. But then that's a name, image, likeness thing.
Right.
You can't just put my last name on it, and they're not going to do that. Because Tim Tebow would be absolutely loaded.
But this is another one of those arguments where we're talking about a guy who's one of one. Tim Tebow's arguably one of the greatest college football athletes of all time. So to say him,
let's hit that red button on him real quick. Talking about Tim Tebow, fuck them boys.
He is though, whether you like it or not.
He had some great guys that can take 2-yard dumps and run for a long way.
Hey, is he a national champion? Is he a Heisman winner? Well, that's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying there is when you talk about everybody else, NIL deals are there for that reason. If you want to sell it with the back of your name on it with an NIL deal, fine. If the university agrees to that, because just as much as here's another argument that you could have for that. Which one would you say is bigger? Adrian Peterson or the University of Oklahoma? Which one's bigger?
Ooh.
So when I'm selling that Oklahoma jersey, you're still using my name. I own a part of that.
Oklahoma,
you want to slap 28 on it? We've had 50 28s. Yeah. You want to slap Peterson on it? You pay Peterson.
Exactly. I think Oklahoma at that point is bigger. Even though Adrian Peterson was a once in a lifetime, once in a generational talent.
Here's another one. I wouldn't say Tom Brady is bigger than the University of Michigan.
Absolutely not. What did he win in Michigan? Yeah, maybe a bowl game?
He is. He's a 7-time Super Bowl championship.
It doesn't matter. Okay.
When did Michigan win a championship?
They probably do actually have 7. Probably have quite a bit. But I see exactly what you're saying. But when we're looking at the grand scheme of things, there's more people that cheer for Michigan.
I'm not saying that the player becomes bigger than the school by any means at all.
Right. You just want to make sure that the guys get paid.
What you're saying also, like he went to Oklahoma, that's cool. We can have another 22. We can add that on there.
Right.
But you can't also arguably say that you've had a bunch of players that come out of certain schools that as soon as you see a throwback with no number on it on a certain team, and you're like, that's such and such.
For sure. You mean with no name. You mean with no name.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's such and such. That's who they're looking at. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And that depends on the school, but I don't think that just because these players want to get paid, they automatically get rights to something that belongs to a prestigious university.
Because, you could also just get the jersey. I want 22 with no name on the back. Do that for me.
At what point
then you don't get paid like you want?
At what point are the players getting too much power?
That's the person.
Transfer portal, NIL deals, now unions. Where's the why?
Well, the union right now is one meeting with a guy in a gym, so we're not going to say that's a foregone conclusion or an eventuality.
If they do that, isn't that too much power to the players then at this point?
Why
and
not?
not enough power to the conferences, NCAA, Big Ten, SEC, whatever you want to call it.
Hold on. So I'm going to disagree with you on this one.
That is
Because
not
I
too
like
much
to
power.
play both sides of it. I don't think it's too much power. I think it's them having more of a hand on the wheel when it comes to their use, their safety, all that other stuff. But then, on the other side of that, the school gets protections too.
Are they going to give up the NIL to get the union? Like you can't. They
No.
can't have everything.
You
It's
can't.
too
Yes,
much
they can.
power.
Yes,
The
they can.
NCAA's had everything for the last fucking.
But what I'm saying
however
is,
many years.
like if they unionize, the union isn't going to dictate TV contracts.
No.
They're not going to get, to a say in who partners with who. They're not going to get a chance to say, "Hey, is Pepsi going to be in the stadium?"
But that's the whole point.
So
Is
they
the
still-
revenue sharing.
No,
Because at that point too, what it'll do is it'll probably get everybody a little piece of the pie. Mm-hmm. Even that kid over there that does nothing but watch the water
Nothing.
jug and fucking puts his finger up his fucking
He's the
nose.
strength coach's little nephew.
He might see a few bands after working like it's a job, like they do. They 2-a-days and not being able to work and do other things to do this. They finally get compensated for it.
I just don't see how this is good for college football and just.
Well, I see why you don't like it, but at the same time, I like to argue both sides of everything. That's just the way that I like to roll. So my thing is, why is it a bad thing to give some of these kids a little bit more control? Because we've heard, as much as we've heard of the wonderful stories of guys who have gone out and made millions of dollars and been champions around the world and made millions of dollars, yada, yada, yada. We've also had the kid who showed up to 2-a-days and passed the fuck out and couldn't
died.
hang because coaches are pushing them too hard. So at that point, there's the other side where the university's like, well, you want to play here, you're going to have to do this. And the union says, hey, listen, man, I get that you want to be hardcore, but you're not going to put these kids through absolute hell and ruin their bodies before they get where they need to go.
I mean, I guess that's true because there have been stories.
and I
of
know
kids passing out.
the
and
old
dying,
heads are going to
stuff.
be like, well, when I played football, and that's great.
Yeah.
Good for you. Glad you had a great time. Sports are different.
The climate's different. I guess that's true.
Especially because nowadays more and more people aren't going to college. That's another factor you got to bring up.
Yeah, but I bet
No, he's right.
People's workouts from then compared to now are not even. It's
The
probably not
workouts
this-
now are harder.
Yeah, it's night and day.
Yeah.
It's not just Oklahoma drills, pound each other to the ground and go.
Right.
Yeah.
It's,
So
it's a
that's-
lot of agility and running and this and that.
So that is another big thing, though. A lot of kids aren't going to college nowadays. Don't want to incur the debt. You can make more money.
Yeah, but if
not
you're
going
going
college.
to a D1 school, you're getting some. Let me rephrase that. If you're in a prominent D1 school, you're getting some sort of a sports scholarship. Even if you walk on, once you prove your worth, they're giving you a scholarship.
Yeah,
I don't know
but I'm
about
just
giving,
saying.
but yeah, you can
Yeah,
you can
he's
definitely earn
You
working.
can earn it, is what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
he's earning it, definitely. But at the same time, that's what I'm saying. It's not necessary to do certain things nowadays. Everyone wants to fall back on, hey, go get a degree. For what? I have a friend who was an engineer, but my old job, I made more money than he did after he went to school for 6 years, and I didn't do nothing but drive a truck.
So here's the problem. You drove the truck for free, and he paid to go to school. These kids that are student athletes are getting the free education.
Yes.
So at the same time, he takes that education if he chooses to use it as a resource, which he should, and he goes and makes more money than you driving the truck, and he did it for free.
Yeah, but it's...
See what I'm saying?
Hold on. But the school is not the part that probably made him famous. You know what I mean? Like,
No, we're not talking
Oh, not
fame.
famous,
We're
but
talking
smart.
about using the scholarship.
Oh.
The school is the one who taught him and did it for free and gave him the scholarship, so he played football.
most of those kids that get scholarships end up playing on Sundays.
No, it
Not,
did that.
that's. I think it's like 1% ends up playing on
I
Sunday.
thought it was like closer 4 or 5, but
I
either
think
way,
it's
it's
higher than
low. It's really low. On a Sunday in the NFL,
Yeah,
if you
no.
take all the NFL, if you take all the collegiate athletes that are D1, it's like 4 or 5%
Yeah.
in the NFL. But
Yeah,
then
really, really
there's
small
CFL
number.
and everything else.
But that's why the education is a big deal. That's why they need to take advantage of that. If you're getting a free education, why wouldn't you use it? Don't just go there and assume that you're going to be a pro someday and you're going to make it big. Because look at like that guy like Marcus Lattimore that I was just talking about. He was one of the best running backs I've seen in a long time, and he couldn't make it out of college because of the injury. So why wouldn't he take that opportunity to use that free education?
And that's where the union part makes sense when it comes to Lattimore, because his knees were shot by the time he made it into the pros.
Yep.
He also had like 2 or 3 knee injuries, complete rebuilds, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. He had 3. 2 in one, obviously 2 in one leg.
2 in one leg.
I think it was his left leg that he had 1 and the right was 2. And his right was like he's right-handed.
And also, Sean Clifford, how about you win the big game instead of worrying about getting paid? Do me a favor, win the big game. That's just me on a personal Penn State rant. Sorry. It had to be done.
It didn't have to be done, but
not at all.
It had to be done.
Get your money,
He
Clifford.
needs the win.
get your money,
Red
Clifford.
dog.
I'm with
Get
him
your
on that
money.
one. I'm with him on that one.
Clifford, the big white dog.
Get your money, bro.
Are you kidding me? He's got to win the game to get money.
Fuck that. Secure the bag, bro. Hey, if I could go to work and not do nothing and still get paid, I'm going to take it.
That's the problem with the damn college
That's the
sports.
problem with you kids these days. You don't get paid to do nothing.
I'm going to work hard for it like an idiot. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Shit, if I have to, and I could just show up and put a bunch of X's and O's on the board, hey, tell that Nello kid to run a, what's that one when he goes up the field? A post. Yeah, that's it. Run a post.
I'll run a post for
for that?
I'll
Come on,
run
let's
up
go.
the middle. Light me up, Brian. Put those zeros in my check.
oh, boy.
I mean, oh no, you can get yours in your check, bro. You're a college player.
Well, I mean, hey, the fact that they're getting rights and getting things in their way, I think is a move in the right direction. To finalize this conversation, I think it's good for them to have rights. And union, I don't know if that's necessarily the way that I would go. I think that puts actually more power to the universities than them, depending on how it's written and what's agreed on. And that's a fast way to lose a year of college football.
It's a slippery slope. That's all I'm saying.
It
That's all I'm
is.
saying.
But
But I mean, as much as they make, they could easily take a small fraction of some of that money.
100%.
Do you think the
The
people that are
billions
pushing
of
for this in the
dollars that they
background
make,
give a
you
shit
know.
about these kids?
Right.
No.
There's no, I mean, I don't know.
No one anywhere gave a shit
You're all
about the
good.
kids. That's kind of the point, bro. They don't, and they haven't.
I think there are exceptions to every rule. I'm sure there's people out there that
I'm sure there's a
do-
few coaches that absolutely love it.
and a few
yeah.
boosters who develop relationships with some of these kids and work with them and love them, especially ones that do right by them and bring them whatever they've promised. I don't know.
Hey, man,
but
this ain't the blind side. You know what I mean?
just no, it's not. No, it's not. But you mean to tell me that Vince Young needs to look for a job in Texas?
Absolutely not.
That's
What
all I'm
is Vince
saying.
Young doing right now?
I think he's the sporting goods assistant manager at his local Walmart.
He was actually
be
just
surprised.
promoted to general manager in the Arlington, Texas store.
Wow.
RG3, I mean, come on. All these guys, they do make it.
RG3's still working. RG3 is still a sports analyst.
Right, and he
Working and
wants
working
to
hard.
he wants to sign.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of guys want to sign.
Are we transitioning to the pro game time? Is it
We're
pro
about
time?
to. Yeah, we're that's going to do it for this one, guys. That's our college episode. Excited for the 27th, man. We're right around the corner. We're going to start hearing more and more coming out from this stuff. If there's any more developing stories, obviously we'll send them your way. But thanks for checking out the college show. If you want, there is going to be the pro show released right after this. So you can go over there and check that out and give us a listen. If not, have a good one. We'll see you next week.